Welcome to the Battle Ready Sermon Podcast with Captain Rob Westwood-Payne.
As we were listening to Mark read that Bible reading from Genesis chapter 1 and into Genesis chapter 2, and we were following along, I was reminded just how much I like going back and preaching on Genesis chapter 1. There is so much in it. Sometimes I try and split the reading up because it's quite a long reading from Genesis chapter 1 to chapter 2 verse 4, but I can't seem to do it. So even the Battle Drill devotionals this week, even though we perhaps look at different aspects of each one, I had to have the Bible reading all the way through because it's a whole, and we get to see the whole of God's creation in Genesis chapter 1 and into chapter 2. But I don't know if you've noticed that it is that time of year. Have you noticed it's that time of year? It's that time of year when I don't have many questions that I want to ask God when I hopefully get to heaven in the days to come. But why, God, did you create them? It may be one of those questions I ask. If you're still in the dark, let Michael McIntyre help you out.
The bees and the wasps start to chip into your day because they live outside, okay? So they'll start to come into your life. And you'll deal with the situation, I believe, as a British person, in one of three ways. You'll recognise yourself in this as we go through it. When a bee or a wasp buzzes into your life, bzzz, either you are firstly a wafter, okay? You'll know who you are if you're the wafters. They're quite cool, by the way. If you're a wafter, you're quite cool. You just deal with the situation. Bzzz, okay, off you go. I don't need that. Bzzz, sure. Sometimes you don't even break stride in your conversations. So the other day we just dealt with the situation. You're moving the air. You're not trying to hit it. I'm just going to move the air near you. And you'll know that this isn't an area where you're particularly welcome, okay? I'm a wafter. Right, next up, secondly, you have the stay-stillers. Now, they are very serious people. And they're very adamant that their strategy is the best one to deal with the situation. Okay, nobody move. Just stay completely still. Don't make it angry. Don't encourage it. They get quite angry with the wafters. Don't waft it. You're just making it angry. You're encouraging it. Don't encourage it. It's not interested in us, and we're not interested in it. See? It's gone now. Just stay completely still, and it'll get about its business, okay? Then, the third way, the total panickers. Right? Oh, I can still feel it. I can see it. Did you see it? It was massive. Oh, my God. Oh! Was it a hornet? Was it a hornet? You know, if it gets you on the throat, you can die. You can die. Right? That's the third way. Now, wafters are able to upgrade and become total panickers. They allow themselves that privilege. You know? If their wafting is ineffective and the wasp keeps coming back, then you can see them start to panic. Which is why wafters really hardly ever get stung. And total panickers almost never get stung. You know who gets stung? The stay-stillers.
So, which one are you? Wafter, stay-stiller, or panicker? I'm definitely a panicker, which is why when I get to heaven, I want to ask God, why on earth did you create bees and wasps and all the other creepy crawlies? So it may be that you're okay with bees and wasps and it's spiders that you don't like. Or what about ants? Are you okay there, Taryn? Are you just like all of them? Am I not even allowed to speak about them? You're just, yes, a panicker. Yeah, no, just like that. It's like he's seen me out and about in the summer. Honestly, ask Gail afterwards. That's not exaggeration. That's exactly what it's like. Anyway, whilst you carry on thinking about that, anybody not like ants? No, you're all okay into ants? Well, you might not like them quite so much after I've given you a few facts. How many ants do you think there are on the earth? Don't just say a lot. Think of a figure. Millions. Trillions. Okay? Yes. Who said quadrillions? Stephen. 20 quadrillion ants. Okay? Now, if you can't picture that, you can also say 20,000 trillion. So you weren't far off. 20,000 trillion. And if you can't get that into your head, then for every person there is on the earth, there are 2.5 million ants. Okay? Scientists at the University of Hong Kong estimate that the total mass of ants on the earth is 12 megatons of dry carbon. That means that ants weigh more than all the wild birds and mammals in the earth put together. And they're amazing creatures. Some of you will know some of the facts about ants. They can lift 20 times their body weight. So if a 200-pound human could lift the same amount that an ant could, they would lift 4,000 pounds. Anybody manage 4,000 pounds in the gym lately? No. And apparently, according to these scientists, they also did better than dogs in the coronavirus pandemic. Do you know why that is? It's because they have antibodies rather than doggy bodies. Thank you. I'm here all week. There we go. See, Taryn thought it was funny. So 20 quadrillion ants. God must really love ants to have created that many ants on the earth. We are reminded in Genesis chapter 1. I didn't think this was going to be quite as funny as it was. We're reminded in Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 and 25. God said, "Let the earth produce every sort of animal, each producing offspring of the same kind, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and wild animals." And that is what happened. God made all sorts of wild animals, livestock, and small animals, each able to produce offspring of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. So we might not like bees and wasps and spiders and ants and all of those sorts of things, but God looked at them and he saw that it was good. Actually, the ants are the housekeepers of the earth. They turn most of the earth's soil. You might think it was earthworms, but actually they turn most of the earth's soil. They drain it, they enrich it. They dispose of 90% of the corpses of small animals. Yeah, probably not something you want to think about just as you're dropping off to sleep tonight, but they're the housekeepers of the earth. Diane Brady, who's an author, says this: "As the world's gardeners, ants spread and plant more seeds than any other creature." We need the ants. And it's because we need the ants that we are reminded this morning of our place in God's creation. Our place is to preserve what God has made. And so those scientists who've had to count the ants, I guess they probably estimated, I don't suppose they've counted to 20 quadrillion, that would take some time, have reminded us that as human beings we need to look after and care for creation. Because the reason that they're counting the insects is because they're worried about the decline in insect numbers. Insects are declining in all sorts of places in the world. Puerto Rico is one of them, but Germany is another one, not very far away from here. And scientists estimate that 40% of the insect species that God has created will go extinct, especially butterflies and beetles. And so we need to remind ourselves this morning of the place that God has given us in creation. In that creation story, human beings were called by God to reign over creation. In verse 28, It says, God blessed the humans and said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it, reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground. God gave us, you and me, authority over creation. He gave us a special place in creation, a vast dignity that he's not given to any other creature that he has created. It brings us back to those words that we reminded ourselves of in Made in the Likeness of God, and actually Father Creator reminds us of some of this as well from Psalm chapter 8. When I look at the night sky and see the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you set in place, what are mere mortals that you should think about them? Human beings that you should care for them. Yet you made them only a little lower than God and crowned them with glory and honor. You gave them charge of everything you made, putting all things under their authority. The psalmist recognized the place that God put human beings in creation. But dominion, authority, rule, reign, whatever word you want to use there, isn't given to us so that we are free to exploit creation in a negative way. Somebody has said that a paraphrase of God's command to human beings in Genesis 1:28 could be, have a lot of children and populate the earth, harness its potential, and use the resources for your benefit. Actually, we are called to mirror God's work and God's actions in Genesis chapter 1. That's why it was important to read the whole chapter. In exercising government over creation, in reigning over the fish and the birds and the animals, and allowing creation to be fruitful, and working with creation so that it's fruitful and it multiplies, in seeing the beauty and the glory in creation around us, and seeing that it is good, we mirror God's actions in Genesis chapter 1. That's exactly what he did. But we look at our world today and we have to confess, don't we, that we've moved from dominion, from government, from reigning, to abusing creation, abusing our world, abusing the earth. And as I was reading through this sermon again this morning, I was thinking, it doesn't actually matter whether you believe that climate change is man-made or not. You only have to look at our world and see that since industrialization, we have abused the world to the detriment of the greater good of humanity and for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. There are parts of the world that are becoming dirty and ugly through industrialization. City air has been turned to smog. Our rivers are polluted. There's a current controversy going on about sewage being let out into our seas around this country. Toxic chemicals affect our soil. Oceans have become rubbish tips. There have been environmental disasters like oil spills, polluted beaches, chemical rain, the loss of rainforests. Whether you believe that climate change is man-made or not, all those things are happening. And we're abusing our world by allowing it to happen. So how can we make sure that we stay the right side of the line of governing and reigning over creation rather than abusing it? Well, it's by remembering that we only rule creation, we only govern creation, we only reign over the fish and the birds and the animals under God's authority. As the singing company reminded us, kneel and say, Lord of the universe, you are Lord over me. We have dominion over the earth. We have authority over the earth. We reign over the fish and the birds and the animals, not by right, but as a privilege, as a gift from God. So, as you go about your business over the next week or so, or into the summer, and you're wafting away the bees and the wasps, or you're sitting stock still and telling everybody else we're moving, or you're panicking, like me, just remember to be good stewards of creation. We are stewards, we are not the owners. We are God's servants, and we exercise his authority over the earth. God created the cosmos for himself. He didn't create the universe for us. He created the universe for himself. We look after it for him. We manage it for the owner. We manage it for his glory and benefit, not for our own. Now, I think I said a couple of weeks ago that hopefully in every sermon you're able to answer the question, so what? And you go away with something practical to at least think about, or maybe something practical to do. And I didn't think there was quite enough of that in this, so I've added a little video which gives you 7 things that you might decide to do to help steward the earth's resources better. Now, I just have to warn you, okay? This video comes from Green Christian, and there's a website if you want to go and find Green Christian. Somebody decided it was a really good idea to play The Lord of the Dance on a recorder underneath this video. So I'm just warning you now. Taryn, you might even want to go out. Okay? But the 7 R's of sustainability that this video mentions are good things that we can do to help steward our creation. So just have a look and see what you might want to do in the days to come. You may not be able to remember all 7 of those, but you can always go and have a look on the website, or if you haven't got online access, come and ask me and we'll look them up together. But little things that we can do to help steward the earth better than perhaps we do at the moment. But as well as creation, fish, birds, animals, plants, trees, all of those sorts of things, we also need to look after each other better too. Genesis chapter 1 reminds us that each one of us and all the people that we come into contact with day by day and week by week are made in God's image. Each human being is made in God's image. And we should respect each other and respect all human beings as being made in God's image. As I put this message together, I thought about some of the things that I say sometimes, and I imagine saying them to God. I think I would never do that, and yet I would say them to an image bearer, and I need to confess my sin about that. Even worse, some of the things I think about people sometimes, I would never think them about God, and yet each human being is made in God's image. We can be better stewards of creation by respecting each other as God's image bearers. Let's appreciate the gifts that we've been given in creation, not wasting them, not exploiting them, but appreciating them. Accept creation as a gift, even the creepy crawlies that we may not like very much, and guard it as a precious resource and invest in it for the glory of God. I found a song that we're going to sing together as another one that's not in the songbook, but we are going to sing it to the hymn tune Stainer, which you will recognise. But it reminds us of our place in God's creation. We are lords of all creation with the power to break or mend. Playing God, we tune the genome from life's birthing to its end. We are stewards, but forgetful of responsibility for the gift you give to nurture cosmic creativity. God, forgive our selfish grasping, calling what you loan our own. We rejoice in your creation. Help us share all you have sown. Help us work with your direction, taking joy in all you give. Let us join as co-creators. Spirit, hone the lives we live. Let's sing these words together.
If you would like to subscribe to Battle Ready Sermons wherever you choose to listen to podcasts, or if you'd like to receive them direct to your inbox, head to www.equippinghispeople.com/sermons and follow the instructions.